Hello everyone, welcome to Drop. Today on the show we'll be stepping into a bit of controversial territory. As we discuss the call-out culture, with me I have the lovely guests Jasir Shehbaz and Minahil Mehdi. So essentially the main question, do you guys believe that the call-out culture is now taking a form of mob justice?
I don't think so that it's entirely true to compare call-out culture with mob justice, because in call-out culture, the people who are accused, they still have the spaces available to them to defend themselves. For example, if the call-out culture is happening on social media, the same social media is available to the accused people to address their own grievances or whatever they have to say in their own defense.
Well, I think that while it's true, we have to also remember that there is a power structure that is very deeply associated with how things are put across, so how information is disseminated on social media. For instance, if we talk about call-out culture, how often do we see that something said in Sindhi or something said in Pashto goes just across as effectively? So yes, while people do have spaces, I think it is a rigged space in some manner, giving very, very little opportunity to for people to defend themselves. And mob justice, as you said, is something that we all need to, in fact, think about whether it is something that we actually are actively trying to achieve.
And on that point, I would say we are seeing an increase in bullying and online witch hunts right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if I would agree with the witch hunt, but bullying absolutely is there. Because, again, like I said, when you're calling somebody out, it is trying to deliver justice without any process involved. So you're not only disseminating information, you're also giving out a judgment that allows for very little space for engagement.
It's also important to see that when people are accusing someone of something, are they expecting them to improve themselves, or are they just expecting it to grow into a big movement where we kind of ban them from spaces, where we ask people to disassociate themselves from the accused person. And it's really important to see that whether the call-out culture has been successful in delivering justice, in rehabilitating the people who were accused, or was it just, as you mentioned, a witch hunt of people who were accused.
Like if I was to add on to that, what is essentially doing is it's creating binary between like monsters and victims. So like, is that what's going on?
Absolutely, and also the culture of disassociation is something that is prolonged. So for instance, when we talk about justice system, if somebody does something wrong and it is pronounced wrong as well, you see that they will serve a particular punishment. So if they're imprisoned, for instance. But then when people are out of jail, do we continue to punish them? I mean, mob justice, vigilante justice, essentially is something that never ends. You know, you call somebody out, you want to disassociate yourself with them, and it never ends. So rehabilitation, hence, and just kind of is not really there.
Basically, it's one slip up and you're cancelled. You're cancelled by the internet.
You're destroyed.
But also
quite
the thing
frankly.
is that we have to see that call-out culture is coming in a time when people are frustrated with the broken justice system that we have. So a lot of times when people are becoming part of call-out culture or joining these campaigns, maybe they don't have necessarily their direct grievances against the person accused, but they are just channeling out their own frustrations which were not addressed by the justice system. So a lot of times we see that people join these movements, and when they're asked that were you directly affected by the person mentioned, or were you directly targeted by the person mentioned, they often don't have any such incidents to recount, but they are just joining the movement to channel out their frustration, which was not addressed by because of absence of a functioning justice system.
That is kind of like a cycle of bullying. So if you were bullied as a child and you want to call out people who are bullying, you are still reinforcing that cycle. And I think the solution to any kind of negative thing is not to reinforce it, but to break out of it.
But to add on to what Jasir has been trying to get at with the broken justice system point, like, do we have to give some credit to the call-out culture for like filling a lot of gaps that are present with our justice system as of now?
Yes, I think so, because call-out culture, as we also argued before, that we have to see the power dynamics that are at hand, that was mentioned by Minahil, that call-out culture is successful when it's able to call out powerful people that you can't target otherwise through a justice system which is rigged in their favor. But also you have to see that the call-out culture that we are seeing in Pakistan, has it been able to target the powerful, or the powerful have been able to use the call-out culture for their own benefit to call out people for the behavior that they don't seem fit for a social media or social interactions.
So the point of power and privilege then becomes the central question, that whether you are targeting people that are already suffering and are like going through a lot.
Well, I mean, I would disagree with it. I think that calling out can still target people who are in positions of power. I mean, I think we've seen that as well. But just generally, the essence of what calling out is trying to achieve. Is it trying to correct something that is wrong? Well, then we all know that correcting does not just come out of putting out a statement or putting out a tweet. It comes out from engagement. And very often, the people that we are calling out, I think the question is that, can we reach out to them on our own and try to engage with them or understand the context if there is any? So I think the purpose that it is trying to achieve, that is not really coming out in this culture.
So the
and
focus
it's becoming,
is not on restorative justice.
It's
that
becoming
is what,
vengeance, I suppose.
it's becoming vengeful.
It's also,
and
I think, so there's a class dynamics to it, because when we see on social media that it's one of the few places now where people from different classes interact, especially on Twitter, where there is no concept of having friends or a restricted group. so the point is that when people come across these people coming from different classes, they see their attitude as rude or something offensive, which might not be thought of as offensive by the people who are making those comments. It's also necessary to see that how, for example, the case which came across recently of a bank employee who was terminated after pressure on social media. We have to see that when rich people or elite people put up problematic content on Twitter or put up offensive comments on Twitter, are they targeted in the same manners? Are their employers asked to terminate
do you
those
want to
people?
take any specific names on that?
I think we all know who he's referring to.
On top of my mind, I have Sara Tassi.
Thank you guys for joining us. That's all for today. May you live long and never get cancelled.